Alright, how's it going, YouTube? It's been a while since I've made a video. I think it's been close to 4 months, and I promised a video my T206 Reds collection, so I'll just get right into it because I got about 23 cards to show. So this first one is Harry Kasper, and it's a EX5 Polar Bear back. Then we got a Rebel Oaks. This one's also a Polar Bear back. It's a 4.5. Then we got Ed Carger, and this is a VG3. I think it's a pretty good VG3. It could probably be a VGX. It's a Piedmont 150. Then we have Tom Downey. That's a VGX4, and this is also this is a Sweet Caporal 350. And we have Bob Betcher. This is the Hands in Air variation, and the back is Old Mill. Pretty nice back. Put it back there. Then we have Dodd Baskret, and this is a VJ3, and it's a Piedmont 350. And then we have Mike Mallory. This is a VG3, and it's a Piedmont 350. Then we have Jean Dubac. The interesting story about him is he kind of has some correlation with the Black Sox scandal. Apparently, Sleepy Bill Burns tipped him off that he should bet on the Reds, and they couldn't really prove whether or not he did, in fact, take the tip and bet on the Reds, but he was definitely involved in the case trial. It's kind of an interesting story. This is also an Old Mill back. Then we have one of my favorite portraits in the Reds team set, the Hans Lubert. And this is a VG3. I really like the green background on this, and it's a 150. And I think because there was Hans Wagner and there's Hans Lubert. I think the Wagner used to call him the second Hans because these are two. Back in the day, he was a pretty good player, and certainly not at the same caliber as Honus Wagner, but he was in the same conversation with him sometimes. Then we got probably the goofiest pose on the set, Dick Egan. Kind of looks like a vampire. And this is a 3.5, and it's a Piedmont 350. Then we have this guy's kind of an interesting story. It's Larry McLean. It's a VG3. These are kind of hard cards to find in VG to VGX and up condition. But the interesting story behind him is that even to this day, he's the tallest catcher ever in Major League Baseball. I think he was about 6'5". And then in later years, during Prohibition, I think he got in a fight in a speakeasy and got shot and killed. But it's definitely an interesting character. Then we got Dick Kobitzel, and this is a VG3. And it's a Piedmont 350 back. Nothing really special about this guy. We have Bob Ewing. This is a VG3. In my opinion, this could be a VGX. It's got pretty nice corners. And it's a Piedmont 150. Definitely one of the more colorful images in the Reds team set. I think he's actually in the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame, but not in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, Cooperstown. We got Tom Downey, and this is a VG 3.5, and it's a Piedmont 350 back. So I'll mix it up a bit. Talk about the Hall of Famers. So we got Clarke Griffith, and it's a VG 3.5. It's a sweet Caporal back, 350. He didn't really have an outstanding, playing career when he was actually a player on the field, but he had a pretty prolific managing career. He for a while, I think he was a player manager during this time for the Reds, and then later he was a pretty famous manager for the Washington Senators, and they actually named the stadium after him, Griffith Stadium. And this is another Clarke Griffith portrait, or another Clarke Griffith card. This is the portrait pose, and this is a VGX4. This is the card that really got me into T206s. I don't know. I think I came across the story of Honus Wagner, and having that's the most famous card in the hobby, the T206 Honus Wagner, and so I came across this card. I wanted to get a Reds card in the set, and I really love this card. It's the colors on this pop. I want to get it switched over to SGC case, and I think right now it's kind of got like a scratch on the case, but it's a really nice looking card. Then we have Mike Mitchell. This is a VG3, and it's a sweet Caporal 350. I think Mike Mitchell was he was a minor star on the Reds. Definitely not Hall of Fame worthy, but he was a good player. Then we got one of the coolest cards, I think, really in the entire T206 set, is the Billy Campbell. This is an EX5. I spent kind of a lot of money on this, but I really like this card. I love the pose, so I wanted to get a high grade in this card, and it's definitely a good looking card. And then we got another Bob Betcher card. This one's the portrait pose, and this is a VG3, and this is a polar bear back. We have another portrait card. This is Bob Spade. It's a VGX4, and it's a Piedmont 150. And getting into some of the raw cards I haven't had graded yet. We have the Art From. Really nice looking card. It's got great coloring and really nice registration, and it's also a polar bear back, one of my favorite backs. So I'm hoping to get this graded soon, and I think you could get a VG3 or maybe even a VGX. And I have another Gene Dubach card. This one's a Sovereign 350. It's my first Sovereign card. I wanted to get a Sovereign. So. And then we have there's two Hall of Famers in the Red set. There's Miller Huggins and Clarke Griffith, and they each have two poses. So this is the Miller Huggins hands-on mouth pose. This is a really I love the registration on this card. I think T206s are pretty hard to get really sharp registration, really a clear picture of the player. This is definitely, the colors pop on this. And the back's kind of a little dirty. It's a sweet Caporal 350, and I don't know. I think if I got this graded, it might come out a good 2, or on a good day, maybe a VG3. Then the final card in this Reds team set is the Miller Huggins portrait. This is a VG 3.5, and Miller Huggins, I'd say he's one of probably the most famous player in this T206 Reds team set, because he ended up being the manager of the legendary Yankees teams that had Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth, and he was a pretty solid player in his own right. So yeah, here's all my Reds team set T206 players, and I'll definitely post some new videos soon. I want to get a couple more T206 graded. I have a bunch of other portrait cards. I'm getting really into the portrait cards, and I have some pretty decent Hall of Famers. I have Napoleon Lajoie and Eddie Cullen, so I'll be showing you guys those as soon as I get those graded. I'd also highly suggest, if you're into T206s or you want to get into them is checking out this book, the T206, The Players and Their Stories collection. It's Tom Zappa and Ella Zappa. It's a really good book. You know, it doesn't tell you so much about the cards themselves, but more about the players and the history behind, you know, the early stages of baseball. And I think it's a great book to fill you in, because there's definitely a lot of interesting players of this era. So thanks for watching.